Yehovah Nikma, God of vengeance, anger of the oppressed. You do not forget injustice. You do not sleep while your people suffer. At the appointed time, you arise with power and reverse the decree of death. Teach me to trust your timing. Celebrate your victories with holy joy. Yehovah Elohi ha-Nikma. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me and cover me and stir me and speak through me with your Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself. And you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, now, behold. Esther, chapter 9. The time approached for the king's orders and decree to be carried out. The day when the enemies of the Jews hoped to overpower them, but as it turned out, the opposite took place. The Jews overpowered those who hated them. Thus, on the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, the Jews assembled in their cities throughout all the provinces of King Achashverosh to attack anyone who tried to do them harm. And no one was able to withstand them, because all the peoples were afraid of them. All the officials of the provinces, the army commanders, the governors, and those occupied with the king's affairs helped Elephtah the Jews, because they were afraid of Mordecai, for Mordecai had become a powerful person in the king's palace, and his fame had spread through all the provinces. Mordecai continued to grow increasingly powerful. The Jews put all their enemies to the sword. There was great slaughter and destruction as they did whatever they wanted to those who hated them. In Shushan, the capital, the Jews slaughtered 500 men. They put to death the 10 sons of Haman, the son of Hamdata, the enemy of the Jews, Parashandata, Daphan, Aspata, Parata, Adalia, Aradata, Paramchita, Arasi, Arada, Vasata. But they did not, Elephtah, touch the spoil. The same day, after the king had been told the number of those killed in Shushan, the capital, he said to Esther the queen, "If the Jews have slaughtered 500 men in Shushan, the capital, and the 10 sons of Haman, what have they done to the rest of the royal provinces? Now, whatever your request, you'll be granted. Whatever more you want, it will be done." Esther replied, "If it pleases the king, let the Jews of Shushan act again tomorrow, in accordance with today's decree. Also, have Haman's 10 sons hanged on the gallows." The king ordered these things done. A decree was issued in Shushan, and they hanged Haman's 10 sons. So the Jews in Shushan assembled also on the 14th day of the month of Adar and killed 300 men in Shushan, but they did not, Elephtah, touch the spoil. The other Jews, those in the royal provinces, had assembled, defended their lives, and won rest from their enemies, killing 75,000 of those who hated them, but without Elephtah touching the spoil. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, so on the 14th day of Adar, they rested and made it a holiday for celebrating and rejoicing. However, the Jews of Shushan assembled on both the 13th and 14th day of Adar. So it was on the 15th that they rested and made it a holiday for celebrating and rejoicing. This is why the Jews of the villages, those who live in unwalled towns, make the 14th Elephtah day of the month of Adar a day for celebrating and rejoicing, a holiday and a time for sending each other portions of food. Mordecai, Elephtah, recorded these events and sent letters to all the Jews in all the provinces of King Achashverosh, both near and far, instructing them to observe the 14th Elephtah day of the month of Adar and the 15th day every year, to commemorate the day on which the Jews obtained rest from their enemies, and the month of which was turned from sorrow into gladness, and from mourning into a holiday. They were to make they were to make them days of celebrating and rejoicing, sending portions of food to each other and giving gifts to the poor. So the Jews, Aleph Tav, took it upon themselves to continue what had been already begun to do, as Mordecai had written to them, because Haman, the son of Hamdata, the Agagi, the enemy of the Jews, had plotted against the Jews to destroy them, and had thrown pure, that is, cast lots, to crush and destroy them. But when Esther came before the king, he ordered by the letters that Haman's wicked scheme, which he had plotted against the Jews, should recoil on his own head, and that he and his sons should be hanged on the gallows. This is why these days have been called Purim, and after the word pure. Thus, because of everything written in this letter, and what they had seen concerning this matter, and what had come upon them, the Jews resolved to take it upon themselves, their descendants, and all who might join in, that without fail they would observe these Aleph Tav 2 days, in accordance with what was written in the letter, and the appointed times, and every year, and that these days would be remembered and observed throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim would never cease among the Jews, or their memory be lost by the descendants. Then Esther, the queen, the daughter of Avakiel, and Mordecai, the Jew, Aleph Tav, gave full written authority to confirm Aleph Tav a second letter about Purim. He sent copies of it to the Jews, to the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Achashverosh, enduring their peace and security, and requiring the observance of these days of Purim at their designated times, as Mordecai the Jew and Esther the queen had enjoined them, and they had established for themselves and their descendants concerning the matter of fasting and lamenting. At Esther's order, these matters of Purim were confirmed and put into writing in the book. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading this fascinating story of Purim, chapter 9, Esther? We can love Yehovah by trusting that He sees the end from the beginning. Love Yehovah by celebrating His justice without seeking personal revenge. Love Yehovah by marking moments of deliverance and joy and remembrance, with joy and remembrance. How can we love our neighbors as Yeshua loves us? By turning our victories into occasions for shared joy and provision. How can we bear one another's burdens? By standing in spiritual solidarity with those under threat or oppression. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit found? 1. Joy. Purim is established as a feast of gladness born from divine reversal. 2. Self-control. The Hebrews did not plunder their enemies, demonstrating restraint. 3. Faithfulness. Mordecai leads with integrity and consistency in public service. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Vi-na-hafok, as it turned upside down. This word clarifies the pulse of Purim. It is not merely reversal, it's divine reordering. Yehovah's hidden hand moved through decrees and timelines until the noose around the people's necks became the banner of their deliverance. Et Sefer Insight. The Et Sefer Insight, Vi-na-hafok. The breath of Yehovah overturns what was spoken, and power shifts in hidden places. A divine connection brings life to the fallen and reveals decrees that break suppression. How can we find Yeshua in the scriptures? What seemed like certain death was reversed by an unbreakable decree of life, echoing the cross. The joy and feast after deliverance reflects the resurrection joy after Golgotha. The sealed edict that could not be revoked parallels the law's sentence, yet Yeshua's atonement supersedes death with life. Mitzvah response, Torah-based, Exodus 17, verse 14. Write this as a memorial. I will utterly blot out Ameliak. A response might look like this: I will never forget Yehovah's deliverance. I will transform every victory into a memorial of joy. I will not plunder my enemies. But I will plunder the darkness through rejoicing in truth. Ni Hebrew declaration. Ni Hafok, Ha-din, Lishir, Shel, Gi-ula, Yehovah, Nikmatunu, Chai. He turned judgment into a song of redemption. Yehovah, our avenger, lives. We'll end this awesome celebration chapter 9 of Esther with the Arianic blessing using the name. Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward your bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you, set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shalom, shalom.